Hello. So this week I thought we'd do something a little special for the holiday, and I'm going to read you a couple of different Easter books. We have Silly Tilly and the Easter Bunny, Clifford's Happy Easter, and the Easter Egg Farm. It says, to all grandmothers, present and future. Silly Tilly Mole woke up one morning. She sniffed the wind. I smell jelly beans, she said. She sniffed the wind again. It must be Easter, and I forgot to remember. Tilly heard a thump on her front door. It is the Easter Bunny, she said. He is bringing me my Easter basket. I will ask him in for a cup of tea. First, I will put on my Easter bonnet. Tilly reached for her glasses. She could not find them. Oh dear, she said. I forgot to remember where I put my glasses. Don't go away, Mr. Bunny, she called. Tilly looked under the bed. She could not see without her glasses, and she forgot to remember what she was looking for. I will light a candle, said Tilly. Then I will see what I'm looking for. Tilly hurried downstairs to get a candle. But she could not see. She bumped into a chair. Is that you, Mr. Bunny? She asked the chair. Do sit down. I will make a cup of tea for you while I try to remember what I'm looking for. Tilly scurried to the stove to get a teapot, but she forgot where she was going. She went to the window and got a flower pot instead. Here is my Easter bonnet, she said. She put the flower pot on her head. Thank goodness, said Silly Tilly. I have now found my Easter bonnet. Now we can have our tea. She hurried to get to the table to get the teacups. Oh dear, said Tilly. I have hurried so much and scurried so much, I am in a tizzy. I can't remember why I'm making tea, and I forget who it's for. I must sit down to think. Just as Tilly sat down, there was another loud thump on her front door. My goodness, she said, what a very loud thump. I wonder who it could be. Tilly jumped up. As she did, her glasses slid right onto her nose. She could see. Oh, how nice, she said. Here are my glasses. Now I remember what I was looking for. Mr. Bunny, she said, are you still there? She hurried over to the chair. Oh dear, she said, he isn't here. He forgot to leave my Easter basket, and he didn't remember his tea. Thump, thump, whack. The front door flew open. Tilly Mole, called Mr. Bunny, I have brought your Easter basket. I thought you forgot to remember, said Tilly. I would not forget, said the Easter Bunny. That's my job. The Easter Bunny hopped into the house. What a nice Easter bonnet, said Mr. Bunny. What a nice Easter basket, said Tilly Mole. She could see pink and purple jelly beans, little candy Easter eggs, a small chocolate bunny, and a tiny yellow chick. Tilly and the Easter Bunny ate some jelly beans with their tea, and Silly Tilly Mole said, I am so glad you did not forget to remember it is Easter. All right, let's move on to the next story. Hi, I'm Emily Elizabeth, and I love spring. So does my dog Clifford. best part of springtime is Easter. Last spring, Mom and Dad brought us a lot of eggs to color for the big Easter egg hunt. On the day before Easter, I dyed the eggs. Clifford wanted to help. Poor Clifford wasn't very good at painting eggs, so Clifford helped by watching me decorate the eggs. He's a good watcher. When I went to bed that night, I fell asleep dreaming about Easter eggs. It was a beautiful dream. Clifford was stirring a giant tub of dye while I tossed the eggs in. But then Clifford lost his balance. He tumbled into the tub of dye. Something surprising began to happen. Suddenly, Clifford was bright green. It was just like St. Patrick's Day. Then he turned sunshine yellow. This was becoming a very strange dream. I grabbed a brush and began to dab on purple polka dots. Clifford looked good in polka dots, but they didn't last long. The purple dots turned into squares, and Clifford looked like a giant checkerboard. I didn't like that. I threw on some more dye. Clifford started to change colors again. Now he was red, white, and blue. I always used to wonder if I dreamed in color. Now I know. This was too much. I tried to scrub the dye off Clifford. I was getting frantic. Then I woke up. It was Easter morning and the sun was shining. I ran out to see Clifford. Thank goodness he looked just the same as always. Good old Clifford. We joined my friends and set off on the Easter egg hunt. We looked high. We looked low. Clifford looked in places I would not have thought of. No hiding place was missed. Sometimes Clifford went a little too far. His hard work helped. We ended up with heaps of eggs, which we shared with our friends. After all, friends are what make Easter a happy day. Pauline lived in Mrs. Pennyworth's hen house with 4 other hens. Each day, Mrs. Pennywort collected the eggs. Only 4 eggs again today, she asked. Somebody isn't doing her job. Are you all trying? The hens clucked. Well, try harder. I want 5 eggs tomorrow. Concentrate. Pauline was embarrassed. She was the one not laying an egg. Every time she tried, the other hens squabbled. Pauline couldn't concentrate in all the confusion. Pauline is lazy, one hen clucked. I'm not lazy, Pauline said. I'm just different. She turned her back on the others and concentrated very hard. Finally, a wonderful thing happened. Pauline stepped back to look at the egg in her nest. It wasn't like the other eggs, but Pauline thought it was beautiful. Get a load of this, another hen cackled. Pauline just laid the world's ugliest egg. It's not ugly, Pauline said. It's just different. But Pauline began to feel ashamed of her egg. She nudged it under the straw with her beak. The harder Pauline tried to lay a normal egg, the stranger her eggs got. She hid each one of them, but not before the other hens had seen them and made fun of her. When Pauline couldn't stand the teasing any longer, she made herself a nest outdoors. She stared at the sky, concentrating very hard. This time, her egg came out blue with clouds. But before Pauline could hide the egg, someone saw it, Mrs. Pennywort. Pauline, what a lovely egg, she said, holding it up in the sunshine. This is too unusual to crack open for my breakfast. I'll put it in my windowsill where everyone can enjoy it. The next day, Pauline laid an egg that was even more unusual. Mrs. Pennywort was delighted. "Can you make more eggs like this?" Then Mrs. Pennywort noticed the ladybug lying on a blade of grass, right in front of Pauline. "Hey, I get it. The egg comes out looking like whatever you see, right?" Pauline blinked. She wasn't quite sure how it worked herself. "This is fantastic," Mrs. Pennywort said. "Come into the house with me. We'll see what kind of eggs you lay there." Pauline loved being inside. There were lots of pretty things to look at. In her new surroundings, Pauline became quite creative. Soon her unusual eggs lined the windowsill of Mrs. Pennywort's house. One day, a lady appeared at the window. "Are these lovely Easter eggs for sale? I need one for every child in town. They're for the annual Easter egg hunt." "No problem. We can lay that many eggs, can't we, Pauline?" "We," thought Pauline. She'd never seen Mrs. Pennywort lay an egg, so she knew it was up to her. Laying eggs for the Easter egg hunt would be an honor, she clucked happily. "Come back for your eggs the night before Easter," said Mrs. Pennywort. Pauline was excited. She started laying 2 eggs a day, then 3, then 4. Mrs. Pennywort began taking Pauline on field trips for inspiration. The first week, they went to the art museum. The second week, they went to the ballet. Pauline was so thrilled by the music and dancing, she laid more eggs than ever when they were home. Finally, it was the day before Easter. "The egg lady will be here tonight," said Mrs. Pennywort. "I better start packing up the eggs." She lifted an egg from the windowsill. "Uh-oh, there's a crack in this shell." Mrs. Pennywort ran into another window. "Pauline, some of the eggs are hatching. We shouldn't have left them in the sunshine." Soon, baby chicks were popping out all over the sunny side of the house. "Stay there," Mrs. Pennywort shouted at the unhatched chicks. "You're ruining the eggs." But the chicks didn't listen. They just kept hatching and hatching. Mrs. Pennywort took the broken shells to the table frantically to glue them together. "It's no use. I was never any good at craft projects." Just then, there was a knock at the door. "Yoo-hoo!" called the egg lady. "I'm here for the Easter eggs." "Do I have a deal for you?" cried Mrs. Pennywort. "How would you like Easter chicks instead of eggs?" "Terrific," the egg lady said as bright-colored chicks scurried around her. "Easter chicks are even better than Easter eggs." Mrs. Pennywort helped the egg lady gather the chicks, but as fast as they were popped into a basket, the chicks jumped out again. Mrs. Pennywort heard a clucking noise and looked up. Pauline was fluffed up to twice her normal size. She spread her wings like an umbrella, protecting the chicks who raced toward her. "Oh, Pauline," said Mrs. Pennywort, "of course we can't give away the chicks. They're your babies." "But what about the Easter egg hunt?" the egg lady asked. "The eggs on the shady side of the house didn't hatch," Mrs. Pennywort said. "You can take those." Pauline kept all of her babies. She loved being a mother. Every day she took her chicks for a walk, showing them the beautiful things around the farm. The chicks grown up, feathers started coming in. "These chicks sure are different," said Mrs. Pennywort. Pauline clucked proudly. Soon Pauline's daughters were laying their own eggs. They took turns in the nest box, laying eggs of every color and design. Children from miles around came to see the unusual eggs and chickens. Mrs. Pennywort's farm became known as the Easter Egg Farm. Pauline still lives on the Easter Egg Farm, but she doesn't lay as many eggs as she used to. Now, whenever she feels an egg coming on, Pauline closes her eyes. She doesn't concentrate on anything. Then she lays a perfectly ordinary plain white egg, just to be different. All right, that's going to be it for today. We'll go ahead and see you next week, okay? Bye-bye.